Page 359. I'll take it from the top where we ended off yesterday. We had an argument between Maran and the Rama.
Yeah.
Page 359.
Oh, it's this one. We didn't update it yet. I'll throw it back.
Nashim, women, v'avadim, and slaves.
What?
Turim,
Women slave?
not women slaves. Ladies and slaves.
Oh,
Turim are exempt. Mipnei, because shehi mitzvah taseh she'azman gerama. Because this is a time-bound mitzvah which women are exempt from. Mikol makom, says the Rama, in any case, im rotzim leotfo, if they want to wear a talit to dvarech alav and to make a blessing on it, harishut biyadam. The permission is in their hands, kmo b'shar mitzvah taseh she'azman gerama, like all the other mitzvot that are time-bound that women are allowed to do. Ach, but michazek yuhara. It looks like yuhara. Are you familiar with this term, yuhara?
I've heard it before.
Yuhara is
What line is that?
The third line from the top.
in the third line from the top. Ach mechazek yuhara. You see that word? It's the third word in the third line. Yep.
Yeah.
Ki yuhara.
Kehillat.
Yuhara
What's that?
means showing off. Doing something not for the right reasons, but to show off to everybody else how holy you are. And I'll bring us some examples of yuhara in men before we start bringing examples of yuhara in ladies.
Working on Tisha B'Av in some places. That's what Mark says.
What is the definition of yuhara? Says our parents. Something which is permitted, and a person is strict and doesn't do it against what halakha says is the truth. Meaning, they say, I want to do one up from halakha. Halakha says it's okay, I'm going to do it anyways. Yuhara is like the one said, the definition is gava, ego. It's, why are you doing it? If you're not obligated, so why are you doing it?
Isn't that didn't we talk before about private humras when a person takes on something to themselves
Very
but
good.
should not do it publicly,
This is
so
more-
it doesn't
this is
seem
more
like an
public.
example.
This is done publicly, meaning yuhara would not apply perhaps in a situation where one is doing this on their own, just between them and Hashem.
So you have to have witnesses to be Kehillat.
I don't know that that's necessarily.
Saying someone's seeing you is different. If you're doing it to like show.
No, it's a good question with that. Meaning, maybe it doesn't apply in a case where you're alone. Maybe yuhara only applies in a situation where you're with other people.
Well, isn't that the whole point? You're
Yeah,
trying
I
to
have-
show that you're
Right. So
going
he's
up.
saying, so what if I want to put on tzitzit, not in front of other people? It could be correct. Yeah. I haven't seen it spelled out that way, but it could be correct. Let's bring an example of yuhara. Remember we had this already earlier in Shulchan Aruch. So it's been a few years, literally. On page 35,
Time.
about 300 and some pages ago.
Time travel.
Feels like
Yeah.
yesterday that we were here.
where 35, you see? Where to?
Maran says, "Kshikanes lebet hakiseh." When you enter the restroom,
Where to act.
Yomal- what?
Where to act at bathroom.
Yes, way to act in the bathroom. When you enter the bathroom, Yomar, you should say, "Hitkabdu mechubadim." You should tell the angels, "Angels, wait outside for me. Thank you for escorting me to here. I don't want you in the bathroom with me. It's not proper for you to enter the bathroom with me." V'achshav lo nahagu la'amor. But nowadays we're not accustomed to saying this, because if you walk, imagine if I go to the bathroom, "Angels, wait for me here," in front of the whole shul. What do you think you're walking around with angels all day long? It's yuhara, it's ego. There were days where angels escorted tzaddikim, but today it's not. We don't believe it. Angels are escorting us everywhere we go, and therefore, the minhag is not to say this tefillah anymore. This is an example of yuhara. We don't do it because, and one who does do it One day I want to follow Shulchan Aruch. When I go to the bathroom, I'm going to say this prayer. One who wants to be strict like the Shulchan Aruch is essentially violating halakha because it's an egotistical thing. And Chachamim will not let us do that.
What if you had someone who is such an elevated level that they would do that?
So the Bet Yosef writes that if he is a tzaddik and he knows he does have angels, he's allowed to. But another person, no, that's a good one. I mean, it has to be truthful. Another example of Yuhara. Wearing Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. Wearing Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin is brought down in the poskim as Yuhara. A person who wears another pair of tefillin that the poskim say you don't have to wear, and they're not a chassid. They're not a known righteous person. They are violating the halakha. There's a famous story in the Mishnah that I quoted you, where he actually pulled off somebody's tefillin. How could you wear Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin? The rabbi doesn't wear Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. How are you wearing Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin? So today, what happens is that everybody wears Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. What I mean everybody? Every 13-year-old already puts on Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin in certain communities. And so today, it's almost like you could be stupid and wear Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. So there maybe is no more Yuhara left. But a person has to know that it was a mistake. This is a custom that started against halakha. Maran writes Shulchan Aruch, the only person who's allowed to wear Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin is someone who's a muchzak, who's considered publicly as a chassid and a tzaddik, a righteous person. What else? When you pray, Maran says you should pray with your hands on your heart. Like this. Pray. And not like this. You know? What's that? You're praying with like a certain kind of gava, certain kind of ego. You would know that in the old shuls, both Sephardic and Ashkenazi shuls, people would, they would lean, they would, not when they prayed, when they would have kiddush, they would sit like back in their chair, maybe they cross their legs. But when they would pray, they would have a guy whose job was, if somebody crossed their legs in shul, to smack his leg and put it down. What are you sitting in the Beth Knesset? You're praying right now. You're praying in your Beth Knesset. You don't cross your legs while you're praying. What kind of thing is this? Now you have to sit up straight.
As I told you, I've seen pictures of Iraqi and Yemenite shuls where they sit on divans and they do cross their legs.
During prayer?
Yes.
Or while they're in the Beth Knesset?
I think during prayer.
I don't believe they did it during prayer.
Maybe that was, like in
There
between.
There wouldn't be any way to...
Well, if they're sitting on the floor, they're not talking about sitting like a pretzel style on the floor. I'm talking about... I'm fine. I never said like this. Sitting back like you're the CEO of the shul. You know, like I'm sitting here...
Like on Pesach, you mean?
Very good. But by Pesach, it's the only night we're allowed to do this because we're supposed to be like kings.
Yeah, but the way they dressed, you couldn't see their legs under their clothes.
It wasn't a matter of seeing legs. It was a matter of... It would be like when you come to someone's office and their feet are up on the table. Well, if he's a multi-millionaire, he's a billionaire, maybe he could put his feet on the table. But if you come to his office and you put your feet on the table too, he's going to fire you from your job interview before you even got the job.
But people didn't sit on chairs in large parts of the world up until recently.
So that's why the example in Shulchan Aruch is not crossing legs. It's the way you're standing. Shows whether you...
A historical note, there's a famous picture of Richard Nixon who lost a lot of votes. A picture of him was taken up with his feet up like this. You can Google it, with his shoes up, and there's a giant hole in one of the soles. So it's like he hadn't really...
A hole in his soul.
Yeah, so, it's like he hadn't really been taking care of himself, and people think, how's he going to take care of the country?
Very interesting.
What about the shekeling thing?
Oh yeah, that gets exaggerated.
Should we get a video of this?
Oh yeah, the 1 footer. You can demo all the...
Some post games say you shouldn't do it.
According to halakha, somebody wants the truth, you're not allowed to shekel during tefillah.
All right.
You're not allowed to. And when the poskim say you're allowed to shekel, what do they mean? A little bit of maybe, but this whole they do it in yeshiva. This one where you're... Imagine if I would come to have a conversation with you. I would say, hey, Zed, how you doing today? I hope everything is great with you, and I really, really liked it. What are you? You look like a crazy person.
Like Bill Gates.
And so, but this whole
He does that.
this whole thing, it's not. It's kind of like when I once saw a public speaker, and he was giving a class, and his... Man, you don't have to film it. The whole time... No, it's okay, you can.
Too late.
The whole time he was talking about, like, so, this week's parasha, And you just, your mind is like, I cannot focus on this person. And in fact, I once read an initial article,
Here's
and I don't know if it's true because I'm not a psychologist, but this psychologist was a Chabadnik. This psychologist was a Chabadnik, and he said that one of the very important ways where you can read body language, a person who, when they speak, they don't move, they hold their posture, shows that they take themselves very seriously. He said that the very few people in history were able to speak in a very I don't know how the word is in a
Subdued manner.
not
Supine
subdued,
is, I think, the word.
like a statue. That they
Yeah.
were.
You know who does that? Rabbi Ben Chaim from Israel. When you see his videos,
Oh, interesting. Okay, right.
He's very
So
looks like that.
he said that the
Very
Lubavitcher
calm.
Rebbe would speak for 3.5 hours sometimes, and he wouldn't really move. He would just speak. And he said he carried himself like a very important person, somebody who was very. And you'll notice this that in shuckling, moving, a lot of times comes from a place of nervousness when someone's twiddling with their thumbs, and a person who has control over themselves. It's a body language, a demeanor that you can really tell about a person. And in tefillah, it's not like a parent would sometimes just hold a person. Stop moving, stop shuckling. It's too much. He would tell them. But that's not for everybody. And there are some Hasidic rabbis. I have to be fair. The other side of the coin. Some Hasidic rabbis who they really were the ones who brought this whole shuckling thing into Judaism. And they talk about there being an internal candle that is flickering inside of a person, and you flicker like a candle. And it says, Kal atzmotai tomarna Adonai michamocha. All my bones will say Hashem, who is like you. So I want to move all my bones when I pray. Okay, I can't argue with Hasidic ideas, but just tell you that's not the classic
You
way
may be
the
the only
Jews
one.
used to pray. What?
You may be the only one.
Maybe the only one. So like this. What else? This is an interesting halakha, which Baruch Hashem, thanks to the iPhone, we've been able to overcome.
359 we're up to? It's back again?
Yeah, I'm giving examples of Yuhara.
Yehuda.
Yeah. So what else? This Dei Chemed. He writes that it's forbidden to study Torah in the street. Meaning, you're sitting at a bus stop, and you pull out your Daf Yomi Gemara, you're just showing everybody, I'm doing Rashi Tosfot while I'm waiting 3 minutes for the bus. He says, even if you have good intentions, it smells of ego. And he very much strongly suggested against it.
What about on an airplane? That's okay.
Yeah, very different.
Public transportation.
On the commutes in New York, the Daf Yomi Shir on the
I
J-train.
figured that
Oh,
today,
there's such a thing?
Yeah, there's multiple shirim on like that.
whenever I go to a wedding, I used to bring a book with me to weddings. I always had a little Tomer Dvorah, Mislat Sharim, always in my pocket, and I take it with me to wedding. Half the time I'm sitting at this table, I don't want to talk to people about it. I say, I'm reading a book. And I realized that it didn't look right. This halakha says you shouldn't really do such a thing. So, there's an app on your phone that has thousands and thousands of books. And so I'm already
there.
from all the weddings. I'm halfway through Rambam's letters, Biyun, reading them on my phone. And so everybody now, oh, look at him, he's sitting on his phone all the time talking. But it's a good thing. And that way I got out of putting myself in a situation where it's egotistical to learn. You can learn, and everyone thinks you're just some bum with a phone, That's Baruch Hashem. It helps.
Waiting for the third course 2 hours later.
Not much like that.
It's calmness.
Yes, it does.
Perhaps something else. Certain things that people do, going to the mikveh in the morning. Going to the mikveh is that you're allowed. It's a good thing to go to the mikveh. It's not a halakha. There's no halachic obligation to go to the mikveh in the morning for men. Chasidim, Mekubalim did such a thing. It's good to do it. But then there are those guys, you probably don't see them in San Diego, but they're in Yerushalayim. They show up with their towel all day long. They walk with a towel over their shoulder. This towel smells like...
Let's not talk about
the whole room has a special odor because of it.
Months don't do that.
This towel, they're walking around. Why is he walking with a towel? I go to the mikveh. You don't go to the
Along the
mikveh.
No, he thinks he's Michael
Take a
Phelps.
towel. What do you...
Michael Phelps.
A person has to know. A person has to know how to
5
be,
feet.
how to do sort of things, like you said, but not publicly, between you and yourself. The one who goes to the mikveh, and because of that he comes 2 hours late to the shacharit. What did he get out of that? he pushed off a main mitzvah for something that's not even a halakha.
Take 2 hours for the mikvah.
Hey, he was sitting with his friend. You know, sometimes you
The
go to
mikveh
mikvahs
show.
and they're hanging out together, having conversations
What a
in
horrible
there.
place to
It's
hang
like a sauna, you know, like a strange thing. Like I tell you, mikvah is always.
Ooh.
I stayed away from.
You're not supposed to
such
talk
places.
in there either, right? You said you're not supposed to.
People are naked. I don't even know why they're all there naked together in the same place. I know there's a Mishnah Berurah that argues with me, but tzniut also
It's like a
applies to
steam
men.
room.
All the way ladies have mikvah set up, that's the way men should have a mikvah set up.
It's new.
Rosh
Tzniut,
Hashanah
I'm also-
traffic.
One person at a time.
I'm also, you know,
Quiet.
always in the yeshiva when they would go to the
Baltimore is
mikvah.
Rosh Hashanah traffic.
I know I'm on
Oh
camera,
my
but
God.
I'm never afraid to say. I never
Don't
went
be
to
the
the
last
mikvah.
one in.
I never went even at Erev Yom Kippur. I wasn't gonna go with. The whole life you have to dress tzanua, you wear long clothes, you put on a robe when you come out of the shower, all kinds of things you do in order to make sure you keep tzniut, you dress under your sheets, what Shulchan Aruch says. Then all of a sudden there's a line of 300 people, all naked, waiting to go to the mikvah.
Show and tell.
What happened here today?
300.
Mikvah traffic, like no one said. And it's not just the guy who...
Just be careful of the red light.
And it's not all the... It's not all the grocery stores. The Rosh Hashiva is there, and the chief rabbi is there, and the 10-year-olds are there. It's not a
No.
good situation.
Especially these days.
Especially these days.
when
And you should know
wonder
there are a lot of
about,
things, Kehillat, that happen inside the mikvot. A person has to know. We have to find a way as a community to institute mikvot that have tzniut. Just like the ladies can manage to do it, the men can manage to do it too.
That's scary because if like Gedolim came in and you were inside, you might have to stand up.
Don't laugh.
There's a situation
There are
it is.
such questions that come in. A person in the mikveh, the Rosh Hashiva comes inside. The Gemara already has such stories about a bathhouse. People had shared bathhouses.
Oh no.
Okay, that was a discussion for
Floor
another time.
fight.
But
The bathhouse floor
Those
fight.
bathhouse, very dirty and smelly. Not
Oh.
like today.
Not like today. That was old school.
I heard the story.
Maran,
Yeah,
this is
so
a good
yeah.
halakha for you to know. This halakha does not apply to ladies. But Maran says that for men, if a man cannot go to the mikveh, he is able to pour on himself
9 kav.
9
seah.
kabin. 10
That's
kabin.
kav.
Cow?
9
Seah
kabin
is
of water.
much larger.
I remember learning something about Seah.
Rav
40
Avadia-
seah is a mikvah.
That's how much you need. That's
Oh.
the minimum amount for
Rav
the
Avadia
entire-
Yosef said that
That's
9
a lot of
kabin
water.
is about 2 minutes of the shower being on. So according to Cham Avadia, if you would stand inside of a shower for 2 to 3 minutes, you already fulfilled the mitzvah of going to the mikveh for a man.
A little bit. Rebuted
Well, should you have that in mind, or
You don't
think
have
should we
to.
think
Yeah,
about
you
that?
have to have kavanah that you're doing this for the mikveh, but this is a good thing to do throughout the year and Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. You're not in a situation where you go to the mikveh. We had a situation here. Who told us a story? Somebody in the case that his son went to the mikveh, he decided he's going to go to the beach, and him and his friend went to the beach,
Right.
and you know, in the mikveh you can't wear a bathing suit according to many opinions. So he took off his bathing suit, and a wave came and took away his bathing suit, and he lost his bathing suit at La Jolla Shores, and his keys to his car were in his bathing suit.
Oh.
So he had to run around La Jolla Shores without any clothing, looking for a way to get into his car, calling AAA, didn't have a cell phone, want to borrow someone else's phone. There's a pretty big problem over there. You have to use sechel a little bit.
Pray for
Sometimes,
seaweed.
I think once I decided, I had a friend who was a rabbi.
emoji.
I had a friend who was a rabbi. He wanted this mitakesh. He has to go to the mikveh erev Rosh Hashanah. He must go to the mikveh erev Rosh Hashanah. I said, I'm not going to go to the mikveh. I said, okay, so at least take us to the beach. I said, the beach. I have all kinds of ladies. What are you going to go to the beach for? He said, we'll go 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning. Never see. It was sunrise. Was around that time. It was maybe 4:30. I'm not exaggerating. We go into the water. Baruch Hashem, we come out, and lo and behold, one of the congregants, she was jogging on the beach at 4:30 in the morning. Oh, Rabbi, how are you? Now, Baruch Hashem, I wore a bathing suit and a shirt, but you don't want to meet it. Ever since then, my shower, unless there's a mikveh that's a private mikveh that a person can go to. I'm not afraid. Tzniut is an important value, especially in this
Say,
generation.
but the Gemara says like Rebuta ben Betera, you don't have to, at all.
You don't have to go to do
Go to
Tefillah Kehillat. Of course, yeah, that's
You
not.
don't have to
that-
like at all.
What did I say in the beginning? You don't have to go at all. If
At
a
all.
person wants to go, these are the options for him
Completely
to go.
extra.
Now, on top of all this, I need you to know that wearing a bathing suit in the mikveh is not a prohibition. If I could sit down with all the couples that are married in San Diego and reteach them again the halachot of family purity, of mikveh, of tefillah, of the. First, I am afraid of doing because of what it would do to their 30 years, 40 years, 50 people are doing the wrong things. All of a sudden, you come and shake up the world. And there was a couple that came to have parents. The man was becoming more observant, and his wife was coming with him, but lagging behind. And he was getting married, and he wanted her to go to the mikveh the night before the wedding, and she wouldn't go. She wouldn't go. So our parents. So we would do a wedding for a couple that didn't go to the mikveh, but he doesn't want to be with his wife. She didn't go to the mikveh. So our parents said, "Let me give you a suggestion. You guys live in Tel Aviv? Yes. You guys live on the water? Yes. Why don't you go swimming the day before the wedding?" I know, but your head doesn't go underwater. I know, so play a game. You have to know, this is practical rabbanut. Her parents doesn't talk to people about playing games on the beach. He said, tell her, how far can we swim? And then go swim out to the waves. Like, how long can you hold your breath underwater? So this way, she was already tovelet in a kosher mikveh in the beach. Not the kosher mikveh. And he said, but what about the bathing suit? So the halacha says that a chatzitza, the definition of a chatzitza, is something that stops the water from reaching your skin. A bathing suit, a person takes off their bathing suit and they're wet.
Right.
They're wet under the bathing suit. It's not a wetsuit. I don't know how a wetsuit works. A bathing suit. A bathing suit. A person. So maybe the chatchila, you'd want to tzaddik if this comes to ask you a question. Of course, not wearing a bathing suit. But to wear a bathing suit, according to the poskim who understand halakha, is not a chatzitza.
So hair is not a chatzitza then? Because there's this whole thing about hairs and so forth.
Also
and
not. It
knots.
depends if a person. That areas of chatzitza is already dependent on what is a person particular about. You know, for example, if a man goes to the mikveh and he's converting, let's say, to Judaism. This is an important halakha. If he always shaves his face, so it could be having a beard would be a chatzitza for him.
For him.
For
So
him,
it's, really
it's a subjective
defined
halakha.
Okay.
Okay, this is something in a mevin. Whoever understands will extrapolate it to the proper scenarios.
Which the thing is that a lot of the people you would counsel on something like that, many people I've spoken to intuit that somehow they're holding too strictly to something, or they don't understand why they're doing something to the degree they are. In that sense, I don't think it's a shock to them. I think it's more of a calming, liberating feeling.
That could be, and I've seen that reaction with some couples. I've also seen the reaction of, they told me that I'll go to hell, but I'm really afraid of going to hell. And you might be right, but I still don't want to go to hell. Since you're going to go to the same hell that the Rambam went to, and Rabbi Yosef Karo went to, and that Rizal went to, like, what I mean, they all follow these halachot. I'm not telling you anything crazy. But it's hard. Sometimes you're arguing with the wall. That's okay, those were some examples of Yuhara. But the lady is allowed to wear tzitzit, but it's mechazek Yuhara. It looks like she's showing off.
So the ladies are left, how they come out, yes, put it outside. The lady, they put outside.
Is that like,
The bottom, they put.
is that like the women of the wall type of thing?
How
This will obviously lead us to such a discussion.
Because
Why?
The first thought I had when I saw women carrying Sefer Torahs and wearing talesim and things is that, are they really doing it for Hashem, or are they doing it to make a point?
Right.
Like
Now,
a
they
political
get
point.
very upset. They get very upset when you say this. Why are you judging me? It's my relationship with God. I need you to know. I need you to know that there's a book called Nachalat Avot, the Kehillat. We learned together in Shabbat by Rabbi Yosef Masas, and in this printing they edited it out of the book. But in the original printing of Rabbi Yosef Masas' work, he brings down that he saw a manuscript from Spain that the Jews in Spain before the Inquisition, there was a group of ladies that would wake up before dawn. They would put on a talit, they would put on tefillin, they would have a minyan, they would read the Torah, they would pray, Shachrit, Musaf, Rosh Chodesh, whatever it was, Halel. They would fold their talitot, fold their tefillin, they would come back home before their husbands woke up and pretend they didn't go anywhere. Why did they do it? Says Rabbi Yosef, there was an opinion. They wanted to, maybe if there's an opinion that says that a woman is obligated in these things, they wanted to fulfill that opinion, but they didn't want to lose their sachar by letting anybody know about it.
They do that in Tina, some
Listen to the difference here. The difference here is they didn't want anyone to know. I mean, the only motive of them doing this was they wanted to have a deeper relationship with the Kodesh Baruch Hu.
Yeah.
the motive of I want to do it at the kotel, I want to do it in public, I want to
I want
have
the
a
cameras
synagogue, I
rolling.
want only a women's meeting, I want only. Listen, I'm far from judging people, and I'm not here to judge anybody. This is a very politically charged conversation, but we must know that. Just like I would tell a man, you want to be strict about something, I don't want to know about it. Your chumrah, keep it to yourself. I told you about Rabbi Ezra Atiyah, the Rabbi Rabbi Yosef, that only at his Shiva house did his wife find out that he kept a later time when Shabbat ends. She was married to him for, I don't know, 60 years. She only found out at his Shiva, one of his chaladas, he kept extra 72 minutes after Shabbat ended. She said, I had no idea. I never knew that. And it wasn't something, God forbid, wrong with their relationship. If he would tell her, she would have to also keep 72 minutes. And then he would be like, he's showing off, and he keeps... And the decision is, when you do you always have to take this idea of yuhara into consideration. And I'm afraid to say that these are not the Rebbitzins of the world that are leading this movement. It's not the tzedakot of the world that are leading this movement. It's not...
June Rice. That's
Right, whichever Rebbitzins. It's not... I would love to tell you that when I was in Yerushalayim, I saw these ladies every morning at the kotel putting on tefillin. Why do you only show up in Rosh Chodesh? Why are you only coming? Why are you making a provocation? Why? And okay, do you have a fight? The fight is who owns the kotel, and the Orthodox own the kotel. And I believe, by the way, the Orthodox community also made a mistake by making such a big deal out of this. If it would have not been made such a big deal, it would have finished before it started. But now it's become a thing. It's become a fight. There's a mavak. But a person, if someone comes to ask you a question, should I put on tefillin? So we're going to learn together. It's probably going to be next week. Specifically tzitzit and tefillin, why Maran holds that they're different than other mitzvot that women are exempt from. There's something else about these two mitzvot that's not, the Ramah is not taking into consideration here, that Maran does take into consideration. And this is going to be part of a longer discussion that we're going to have here. But motivations are important, and I can't judge someone else's motivations. But I find it very hard to believe that all those motivations are so pure. And if they were pure, then there are other places to start. This comes out of a teaching. When we started studying Rabbeinu Avraham ben Aram a year ago, we said that Judaism is not a democracy. You can't start doing extra things before you finished everything you have to do. Yeah. And the problem is that that's not the Judaism that's taught on the street. The Judaism taught on the street is, I can be super strict about this and not keep those halachot at all. According to Rabbeinu Avraham ben Aram, you can't. According to the Rambam, you can't. According to the Chida, you can't. You won't even get reward for the extra that you do if you don't fulfill all the other mitzvot first. That's not what's taught. So these ladies, you're coming to the kotel, you're wearing tefillin, you're wearing a talit, but you're not dressed sanua. So which mitzvah are you taking into consideration more? Oh, but this one is not connected to that. It is connected. I'm telling you that it is. Judaism is not a democracy. Before you start doing the extras, you have to do what you are obligated to do. This is, what I'm pained is, I'm not here to fight them. I'm pained that this is the only way that they can think of to have a spiritual relationship with Hashem, is to take on mitzvot that are not necessary for them to do. That's it. That's what pains me. The education clearly is wrong. We've educated a Jewish world on an incorrect foundation.
Well, the idea is that because men have more mitzvot actively to do, that we want to be equal to that, not understanding that the female relationship is different because of the nature of their spirituality being in many ways superior to
Why does a feminist always want to be a man?
Right.
Why doesn't a feminist want to be a female? But why is there this push that men are better and that's why I want to be like them? We're not better. I'm telling you, our theology, for the basics, we're not better. We messed up in the Garden of Eden. We messed up. We came out of Egypt. We messed up with the golden calf. So many times we're messing up. Why in the world would you want to be like us? But the problem, and I believe this very much. I'm sorry that I'm taking this tangent, but it's important to know, and I believe this so much. And if I could scream it to the world, I would. We have shifted the focus of the Jewish life from our personal arena of our home, our life, our business, our work, to the shul. The Beit Knesset has become the center of Jewish life. This is where you do bar mitzvahs, where you do weddings, where you do kiddush, this is where you come to pray. And so anything that is important and Jewish is done in the Beit Knesset. What do you do at home? You eat cookies at home. What do you do at home? You bake challah at home. It didn't used to be that way. Many Beit Knesset even have ladies sections. And not because we didn't want ladies to pray. In my grandmother's house, there was no ladies section in my grandfather's shul up until the end of his life. They put a little room in there. the men would go to shul, and the ladies would get together, and they would say Tehillim, they would learn the parasha
Separate
together.
room, ladies separate
No, in the
room.
house. They would go to the house. They would a whole group of ladies, 20 ladies, 30 ladies, and they don't have to read the Torah. They didn't have to put on tefillin, whatever it is that they didn't have to. And instead, they made a service. It was, you call it a women's minyan, the first Yemenite women's minyan. Then they would say Tehillim together. They would pray together. They would sing all the Shabbat songs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu together. They had some ladies that knew how to read, but then other ladies they would teach the other ladies all these things. Judaism, and so these ladies, what was the shul for them? It's where the men went to put on those black boxes and to come home after an hour. We've turned that place where men go to put on black boxes into the center of Jewish life. And then we're faced with the question, so why does a lady not have a portion in the center of Jewish life? And she's right to have the complaint. Why am I not an equal in the synagogue? Why am I behind a curtain? Why can't I be the gabbai? Why can't I read the Torah? And the answer is, you're right. We've made a mistake. We've made this the center of Jewish life and excluded you from it. That's a problem. This is not the center of Jewish life, and therefore you're not excluded from anything. You have your own center of Jewish life. It's a mistake. We've shifted the focus of Judaism from the personal arena into the public arena, and it's a mistake. It's a big mistake. We're still paying the price for it. So, therefore, says the Rama, En lehen nilbosh tzitzit. Ladies should not wear tzitzit. Ho'il ve'eno chovat gavra. This is very interesting logic. Tzitzit is not an obligation on a person. Remember we said there's two kinds of obligations. Chovat chefza and chovat gavra.
Right.
Do you have to go out and buy yourself a pair of tzitzit?
Not me though, right?
No. Meaning, only if you wear a four-cornered garment do you have to put on tzitzit for it. You don't have to obligate yourself in wearing a four-cornered garment. Pirush, meaning, eno chayav liknot lo talit kadei shetchayev b'tzitzit. You don't have to go out and buy yourself tzitzit. And therefore, why is she obligating herself in something that even a man is not obligated in? The fact that we wear tzitzit all day long is a new thing in much of the Jewish world. In the Sephardic Jewish community, in Morocco, for example, even the rabbis didn't wear tzitzit during the day.
Do you not
Things
get a
have
mitzvah
changed.
for wearing it?
You do get a mitzvah for wearing
So,
it,
what are we losing?
but it's
No.
not an obligation to do so.
Right, so, but there's free mitzvah.
You can wear your tefillin all day long too. Who wears
Right,
tefillin
but-
all day long?
But we can't to live life like we do nowadays. If you're wearing tefillin all day, it's not physically it's not something
You're right. That's
tangible.
probably why the
Oh, if
Jews
you
tried
can
to
do-
get an easy mitzvah and wear tefillin.
Right, if you can grab
But what
mitzvah
about
and
according
do
to the
it.
poskim that half of the tzitzit that we wear are not even big enough to count as a mitzvah of tzitzit? So what are we really accomplishing? Meaning we've made such a big deal out of talitot, out of tzitziot, when they're not even such a big deal.
Make sure your urines don't shrink in the washing machine.
Tum
It happens.
the androgynos.
Androgynous.
So someone who's androgynous and someone who's a tum. They're two different kinds of personalities. One who their genitalia is covered up, and one who has both. Correct? Is the one I'm... Okay, yeah.
Or receded into the body.
Yes. So we're not sure, according to halakha, if they're men or women. Chayavim misafek.
Hermaphrodites,
Yeah. Chayavim misafek. They're obligated because maybe they are a man. V'tatzfu b'lo bracha. But they wear a talit without a blessing because maybe they're a lady. So they wear a talit because maybe they're a man, but they don't make a blessing because maybe they're a lady. Pirush tumtum, the definition of a tumtum, lo nodaim hu zachar o nekeva. We're not sure. This is not in your book. I see.
Do you have an orifice? Like Nikavim?
Yeah, we have the Pirush.
You see this here?
Pirush tumtum lo nadam zachar nekiva
Where do you see it?
vandrogynous yeshol schar.
Oh yeah, okay, right. For some reason, this paragraph was not, the font was not edited correctly. What is it? Tumtum? Lo nodaim hu zachar nekeva. By tumtum, we don't know if he's a zachar or a nekeva. We don't know if he's a man or a woman. Vandrogynos, yesh lo zachut v'nakvut. He has both male and female body parts. Haga, says the Rama, u'lefi ma shenahagu nashim levarch b'mitzvot zeh shazman germa, gam hem yivachu. According to the Ashkenazim, this is the Rama's own opinion. According to the Ashkenazim, who allow a woman to make a blessing on things that she chooses to obligate herself in, also a tumtum and an androgynous can make blessings on the talit that they choose to wear, because they're no different than a woman. Meaning, we only exempt them from the blessing Maran because according to Maran, ladies don't make blessings on these mitzvot. And according to the Rama, though, they can make blessings, and therefore, in that situation, a person can, if
Does
there's
the
Sephardic, will follow one
androgynous
opinion.
apply to a trans person? Because they're apparently,
Sure.
there's somebody who used to be a rabbi in the old city who
Familiar.
first became gay.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, and he had a wife, 8 children, and then he came to America, dropped out, and then he decided he was a Orthodox woman and moved back to Yerushalayim. And I was living there. But
There's a
living
verse in the
close-
Torah that says, in our generation, Kidol Tapuchot Hema. We are an upside down generation. But Tapuchot also means people who have switched their identities. I just bought a book a month ago, written by someone who got an approval from Rabbi Yosef in his book. I just bought it, so I didn't have a chance to learn it yet. This whole book is about this topic, about gender change in Judaism, according to Halakha. The obligated tefillin. If a lady now turns to a man, so she didn't ask if she's allowed to. She did it. He did it. I don't know. Obligated tefillin. We count them as a minyan. Which side of the mechitza do they sit on?
Lot more complicated.
Can
than
they get
bathroom.
married? Can we do a chuppah for them? All kinds of
Wow.
questions that come up that the generations before didn't have such questions. But based on fundamental principles in the Shas, in the Poskim, that have given us a little bit of insight into these areas, this rabbi, as I don't know, I can't approve of the book or not,
Yeah,
but I just
material
bought
to
it.
write a book,
But
though,
he
I
has
think.
enough material to write a book. I must say the book is about this thick.
Okay.
Right?
You have a lot of possibilities, though, because you have men who want to become women, but they don't get the genital operation, so then technically they may be more of an androgynous state. And then, of course, a woman cannot become a man in that sense, at this point, technologically speaking. So you have a lot of complications and stages.
Now, here there's the questions of if this is even allowed. For example,
Right,
the Torah
of course.
says that we cannot spay or neuter an animal,
Right,
let alone a human
right.
being. Part of this process involves doing
Right,
that to a
exactly.
person, in which case it's a violation of a biblical meaning, even if the person does feel this way. But the surgery that they must go through violates a biblical mitzvah.
What about chemically, if they use like a hormone to, in a sense,
Well, these are questions,
Okay.
and these are not just.
castration?
No, there are places where
The Holocaust, they abused all kinds of people.
so this is.
Yes.
I don't have enough information yet. I didn't finish studying the book yet. I didn't really start. I read the introduction a little bit. The Haskamot. This is the kind of topic that, whether we like it or not, the world is dealing with these issues.
Right.
And as a Jewish community, even if
We
our
have to
stance
answer.
is, it doesn't make a difference. Even if our
It's
stance
this
is,
upside-down
whatever it is,
issue.
we still must be aware of the halachic possibilities or lack thereof. I once heard, I didn't see it inside, in the name of the Tzitz Eliezer, Rabbi Eliezer Waldenberg, that said that if a woman becomes a man, can she wear tefillin? And he writes yes. And his logic was that this neshama has suffered so much that he wasn't willing to make them suffer more by not allowing them to wear tefillin. And he was not a modern, liberal, progressive rabbi. This is it was a staunch Haredi rabbi, a colleague of Rabbi Yonatan Yosef, of Rabbi Aaron Leib Steinman, of Rabbi Yashiv, but this was his stance. So clearly he's maybe out of the box, maybe he's in the box. When I know more, I'll let you know more. But Hashem should help us that the decisions that we make in this generation should reflect the truth of the Torah, while also not alienating many people from Hashem. It's a hard choice.